Is Alejandro Kirk a legitimate starter now? And who the heck is Jonah Bride? We're answering those questions and more right after this.
It's about that time.
Stoned on Sports.
Man, I love that intro, and a big thank you to Buff and Kip for that. You are tuned in to Stoned on Sports Fantasy Baseball. My name is Matt. Got Kyle here too, at least for today, but not on Thursday. I'll be flying solo on that little endeavor. But today we are talking about waiver targets. Just like we do every Tuesday, we're here to help you out, fill those gaps in your roster, the holes in your lineup. Kyle, how the hell you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Like Matt said, we got waivers, one at every position. So bound to find somebody here that could possibly help you in one of your leagues. I'll get it kicked off here. This Blue Jays catcher has been more productive as of late and hasn't hit lower than 6 in any game since the 24th of July, batting as high as cleanup on a pair of occasions. Will Alejandro Kirk's rest of season fantasy upside continue? Matt?
That is a very good question. And the answer is probably maybe, right? He is the number 7 catcher since the 3rd of this month. In that time, he's got a 280, 379, 440, triple slash, an OPS over 800. He's only went yard once, driven in 8, walked 4 times, and only struck out 3. Absolutely love that. And you hit the nail on the head, buddy. He is consistently hitting higher in the order. This dude spent a good chunk of the season hitting in the back third. Now he's consistently in the middle third. And that may not seem like a big difference on the surface, but that means more plate appearances and better opportunity for run production. If we go back a little bit further to June 27th, we see a big turnaround in his season with a slash of 314, 354, 419. And that all sounds great. But when we look at his season on the whole, those warm fuzzies start to go away. He's hitting 244 with a 313 on base, 335 slug. That's an OPS just under 650. No bueno. 3 home runs, 10 doubles, 34 RBIs. He scored 15 times in 243 plate appearances. But still, this dude's plate discipline is outstanding, both on an individual level and from a comparative standpoint. He's got a 13.2% strikeout rate, which is just great. And that's actually up a couple points from where he's been over the past couple of years. The dude does not swing and miss either. He's got a 16.3% whiff rate. That would be in the top 5 to 10% of the league if he had enough plate appearances to qualify. And his swinging strike rate, which is just over 6%, puts him in the top 20 among the 270 batters with 240 or more plate appearances. Walk rate, really good as well, at sitting at 9.5%. And that's actually down half a point from last season. But keep in mind that league average is a little over 8%. And going hand in hand with a nice walk rate is the fact that he really doesn't chase either. His 25% chase rate would have him in the top 75% of the league. Bat to ball skills, top notch. He's got an overall contact rate of 86%. He's 92 in the zone. Absolutely love it. And guess what else? The quality of his contact is also really good. He's got an EV of 90.5 miles an hour, hard hit rate over 41%, and a weak contact rate of just 3.2%. He's squaring up almost a third of the time, and he's hitting that sweet spot at a 35.5% rate. The barrel rate is a little low at 7.5%, but all things considered, I'll take it. As we take a look at his batted ball profile, that barrel rate really starts to make more sense. He's a ground ball hitter, and while his 40 or 45.2% rate is just a little above average, when we look at it in comparison to his 19.9% fly ball rate, you can see where that comes from. He does hit a good amount of line drives, but the biggest concern is his pop-up rate, and that's over 9%. And my gut reaction is that that's a byproduct of him being in search of power, but it's really just speculation on my part. He did hit 18 home runs, a couple runs back, and we all know chicks dig the long ball. He should get a decent bump in playing time with the departure of Danny Jansen. And if he can keep up a pace reasonably close to what he's done over the past couple of weeks, he can be a legitimate option for those who are riding the catcher carousel, just like I am. And quite frankly, I want off that ride. I really do. I would love to find somebody that I can just plug in and say, all right, there's, 3 weeks until the playoffs, just do well over the next 6-8 weeks. But that's easier said than done.
And maybe that's just what he needed, was some more consistent playing time. Last year I had him, actually drafted him last year in a league and had to jettison him after a couple months and go somewhere else. But he just didn't get all that playing time because Jansen was there. And it's nice that he's finally able to show what he can do.
Yeah, and he's a younger dude. I think he's only like 25 or 26. So, there's still time for him to improve.
Absolutely.
Sometimes a change of scenery is all somebody needs to turn things around. Is that what we're seeing with Ty France now that he's in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think it's possible. And, I think a change of scenery is good, but I mean, you go from Seattle's park to Cincinnati's park, and that's an upgrade for a hitter. So
just a little bit,
Reds traded for Ty France last month, hoping that he could rejuvenate his career in Cincinnati, and he's off to a solid start, posting a 250, 289, 472 slash line with 2 homers, 9 hits in 11 games with the Reds, and striking out just 15.8% of the time. On the year, he's got 16 doubles, 10 homers, 32 runs, and 33 driven in. Slash line on the year is not as good. It's 226, 310, 363. With an OPS under 700, no good. Strikeout rate is a tad above or a tad below average at 23.5, and walk rate is 2 at 7.7. And he's really looking at his data and remembering who this guy is. He's really been a contact specialist for most of his career, but he's really struggled this season to make above average contact. But I think we can see that improve a bit as the season progresses. His power numbers, we've seen them decline this year. His fly ball rate is 27%. Most of those are being caught in the outfield for easy outs, but it's his line drive rate that's really costing him and fantasy managers alike. Line drive rate's just 22.6, a couple percent under MLB average and 3% worse than his career mark. And like I mentioned, I know what's going to fix it. Notorious pitcher park in there, Seattle. You're moving. You're going to go play home games in one of the league's most hitter-friendly venues there. Great American Ballpark, I think, will definitely, provide a potential boost. Average exit velocity, hard hit rate, they're below average, but both are improved a tick over last season. Barrel rate, 8.9. It is above average this season after being just league average last season, so he's up a couple percent. He's still showing some discipline at the plate, even with the below average K and walk rates. Whiff and chase rates are both above average, with his chase rate in the 68th percentile. He's got, 6 games at home this week. Of course, we missed one yesterday, but he's hitting towards the middle of the lineup, anywhere from 4th to 7th. He's not eligible, but he also has experience at third base, and he could DH too. So I think he could be in the lineup more than not. And the upgrade in the home ballpark is just enough to pique my interest in him. He has that sneaky power. He's always been kind of a sneaky power source for fantasy. If he can continue getting that regular playing time, he can become relevant again in fantasy. Like to see it. Since July 29th, this Rays player has been fantasy second baseman number 6 and remains one of the most underappreciated players in fantasy. Matt, what can you tell us about Brandon Lowe?
A little bit, and I swear I always screw up his last name because you've got Josh Lowe on the team, and then you got Brandon Lowe. It's spelled the same. Like, just pick a pronunciation and go with it. But that's irrelevant to our conversation. He has been on a really good run, and we're going to go back even further since the 19th of July. He's a number 5 second baseman. In that time, 276, 345, 579. That's an OPS of about 9.25. Dropped 5 dongs, another 8 doubles, drove in 16 for a team that is headed nowhere fast. He's playing pretty much every day, sitting against some lefties, and he's batting second in the order. And I remember when I was coming up back in the day, that was always where you put your best hitter, right? Second. Now, I'm not saying he's their best hitter. I happen to think of that in the moment. And now I'm getting way off track. The power is real. He hit 39 home runs a few years back, and he had 21 last season in just 109 games. You know what else is real? The strikeouts, though they're not as bad as last season. He still strikes out at a higher than average rate, but it is down 3 points from last year. And it's not because he's just standing there window shopping. This dude has got a ton of swing and miss, a 15.5% swinging strike rate and a whiff rate that's in the bottom 10% at 32.5%. That's no bueno. The walk rate, however, really good, 10% flat. And considering all the strikeouts and swing and miss, I was surprised to see his chase rate is just a hair better than league average at 28.4. StatCast profile, exactly what you want to see, at least for the top 2/3. Exit velocity, hard hit rate, and barrel rate are all in the top 25% of the league or better. Among the top 2 or 3 players in the game in sweet spot rate. And yes, that's awesome. His expected slugging is in the top 6%. I have no idea what I'm doing here. XwOBA is in the top 10%. Expected batting average in the top 30%. Weak contact is a tiny bit higher than average, but I'll take that trade-off considering everything else in that profile. Overall contact, much different. Contact rate, just 70%. That's not good. Zone contact, a little under 82%. Also not good. Neither of those are good marks, but he's also getting on base at pretty much the best rate of his career. And the poorish, we'll call it, contact skills aren't really hampering him enough to affect his power output. This dude is your classic fly ball pull hitter, and he gets a good amount of line drives, and that's helped him to a 297 BABIP. He's someone that has greatly benefited from the shift ban, as just 5 of his extra base hits this season have been hit anywhere other than the pull side. Again, this is a team that's headed nowhere fast, but when you've got somebody with some pop that's hitting in the top part of the order, an opportunity not only to drive in runs, but also get driven in himself. And the fact that he's owned in less than half of Yahoo leagues, if you're looking for something at second base, give him a shot. I know we are kind of getting into crunch time here. And again, the playoffs are just around the corner, and people get risk averse this time of year, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I remember we were talking, a couple of weeks back about how, the best way to ensure you don't win is to do the same thing everybody else is doing. Now, I'm not saying run out and pick him up, but at the same time, if you're in a categories league, either, weekly or season long, and you need some power, he can help you out there. The extra base hits are nice if you're in points leagues. Even if you just plug him in at a middle infield spot, if you've got one, give him a chance for the next week, 10 days, and see if he continues this hot streak.
Yeah, Pistol just put there. He dropped Glaber for Lowe, so good move. I mean, among all the second basemen there with 250 plate appearances, Lowe's second in slugging percentage. It's 527.
Damn.
Behind Ketel Marte. I mean,
that dude's having a career year.
Oh,
I did not think that was going to continue.
Yeah, I did not either, but heck yeah, good stuff. Brandon Lowe.
When teams sell at the deadline, one of the benefits is opportunity creation to fill those holes. What kind of fantasy opportunity does the Marlins' Jonah Bride provide? Hey, look at that. That rhymed.
Yep. Nice job, man. I mean, yeah, this guy's getting all the playing time. Josh Bell got traded, and Bride's been handling first base for Miami in Miami, and he is definitely worth a look. He's only 3% owned, and he's probably just a quad A type player, but it's worth noting that he was pretty productive in AAA in his career, slashing 297, 432, 509 in 166 career games. And he's been playing every day for the Marlins and producing. He's been the number 9 fantasy third baseman since Monday, July 29th. In those 13 games, he's slashing 283, 421, 565 with 13 hits in 13 games. I love that. A double, 4 homers, 9 driven in, 7 runs, and he's averaging 4.2 points per game in Yahoo. On the season, he's played in just 28 games. So again, this is all still small sample size. Slashing 259, 358, 432. His strikeout rate's over 24% below average, but the walk rate is real nice at 10.5%. I like that. And he's been getting some luck too. He's got an above average BABIP of 309. So about, 30-ish, 28, 30 points higher than the league average. No one's going to confuse Jonah Bride for a power hitter, but he's shown some pop there. He's got the 4 home runs. However, his average exit velocity, hard hit rate, barrel rate are all far below average. And his bat speed, it's nasty. It's 67.4 mile an hour. That's very, very slow. Not good. So with that in mind, Bride survives on contact and putting the ball in play. His contact rates in and out of the zone are far better than league average, and his chase contact rates over 6.5% better than the MLB average. So even with all that contact, he's hitting way too many ground balls, almost 51%. Now, ground balls can be great, but not with his extreme, lack of hard contact. Those are going to end up being dribblers and any easy outs to some defenders there in the infield. In turn, with that high ground ball rate, his fly ball and line drive rates are, imaginably below average, and he tends to pop up a lot more than the average player, and those can be easy outs too. His chase rate's below average, but his whiff rate, 21.3, is damn good, placing him in the 60th percentile. I think that shows some patience there, helps him get on base. And when you combine that with his first pitch swing rate of just 18%, you get that great walk rate that he has displayed so far this season. And remember, this guy's been stuck in the minors forever for a reason, right? But I think you may as well give him a look if you need corner infield help, because he's swinging a hot bat and he's got the 4 home runs over his last 10 games. Consistent power makes him, a viable option there in deeper fantasy leagues, particularly for those in need of, RBIs and occasional home runs. And that ability to draw walks helps in formats too that, value the on base percentage. So as a deep league corner infielder option, I think he's got some appeal, especially hitting in the heart of the lineup.
I can dig that, buddy. So we got, let me see if I can scroll up here. Where's his comment? Best drop candidate. Welcome back, 2K. Abrams, no. Semien, no. Neto, maybe. Burleson, maybe. Juan Yepez, maybe. Xavier Edwards. He needs room for another arm.
What you think? Right now I'm looking at Neto or Yepez, but I don't remember what Yepez has been doing. I remember he started hot, but I can't remember what he's still doing now.
Yeah, for me, it's either Edwards or Neto. Both of them are on pretty terrible offenses. Neto had his little hot streak here. I don't know, we'll call it 6 weeks ago. I've not followed him all that closely. And CJ Abrams ain't going nowhere. Marcus Semien is just too damn good of a hitter. Burleson, I love the power there. And St. Louis is kind of we'll call them a fringe contender, even though, like, I saw they were in second in the division with like a negative 53 run differential, which how in the hell does that even happen? But we're way off track now. I'm going to say Edwards, honestly, just given his overall lack of experience. And to me, he doesn't really bring a whole lot to the table.
Okay. All right.
Appreciate you stopping by, buddy.
Okay. So this infielder is now the full-time third baseman for the Blue Jays, and he is excelling. He has cut down on his ground ball rate and bumped up his line drive rate this month, and it's leading to a ton of good contact. Matt, can Ernie Clement help deep league managers?
I would hope so. And as we were kind of compiling this list, the first thought that went through my mind was, who in the hell is Ernie Clement? He is eligible at second, third, and shortstop. And in my mind, he's somebody who's better suited to points leagues or deeper leagues. His stat line, nothing special. 270, 291, 399, triple slash. That's an OPS under 700, 6 home runs, 16 doubles, chipped in a triple, 8 stolen bases, 32 RBIs. And when you really think about it, that's about what you would expect from somebody who's been a quad A player the past couple of years, but now he's getting regular playing time. And he's been, like you said, pretty hot over the past 17 games. hitting 314, getting on base almost 35% of the time, a 371 slug. He's got that OPS up, over 700, which again, 714, not great.
Right.
22 hits, including 4 extra base hits. The absolute best thing about this dude is he does not strike out. In that 17 game span, he has just 2. And on the season, his strikeout rate is just 6.5%, which is the best in the game per StatCast. Pretty much no swing and miss with him either. 6.9% swinging strike rate, and his 13.2% whiff rate is in the top 3% of all batters. Wish I could say the same for his chase rate. It's almost 42%, which, I mean, come on, dude. You're killing me here. That's in the bottom 3% of the league. Just as he doesn't strike out, this dude doesn't walk either. His 2.4% rate is among the worst in the game. Bat to ball skills are outstanding, and they would have to be if you don't strike out and don't walk. He's got an overall contact rate over 88%, and his zone contact rate is almost 93%. Both of those numbers are elite. It's not because he's being overly picky either, because his swing rate is almost 10 points higher than the league average at 57.5, and he's swinging at 71.5% of pitches in the zone. That's a lot. Like a lot. Quality of contact, that might be the worst I've seen all season. He's got an exit velocity under 86 mile an hour, a barrel rate at 3 flat, and a hard hit rate of just 23.6%. All of those are in the bottom 7% of the league, and his hard hit rate is one of the 4 or 5 worst. He also makes a lot of weak contact, but that shouldn't surprise you given what I just told you. From a batted ball perspective, he's a line drive and fly ball hitter, with both of those rates coming in a couple points higher than league average. And considering his quality of contact, I'm surprised he's got a BABIP of 271. You would think it would be much lower. But he owes that pretty much exclusively to his line drives. He pulls the ball more than most, and that's where his power is going to come from. All 6 of his home runs this season have been to the pull side, and just 3 of his 23 total extra base hits have gone anywhere other than left field. But the dude has hit safely in 13 of his last 17, and in that span, he's got 6 multi-hit efforts, which is fantastic. The Toronto offense has been kind of hot-ish this, past couple of weeks, we'll call it. But they're, on the whole, just incredibly disappointing. This dude is a deep or points league play if you need it. But if I'm in a shallower league, a 10-team league or something like that, no, absolutely not.
Excellent.
If you're looking for cheap power, we got somebody for you. Joc Pederson already has 4 home runs this month, and he's part of an offense that's really been rolling lately. What the hell else is going on with him?
Yeah, so, it's not really a secret who Joc Pederson is and what he's capable of producing. He's a streaky hitter who's in the middle of a solid run right now. He's going to sit against pretty much most or all lefties, so keep that in mind. But if you're able to do, some daily lineup adjustments and you can find a right-handed platoon partner for him, you can probably get a little bit of a power boost. Since the 29th, he's outfielder in fantasy number 21 in those 10 games, 10 hits. God, I love that. Average a hit a game. I love players like that. 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 7 runs while slashing, 370, 485, 815. Slugging is sick. That puts his OPS at 1,300. And he's all about the power and, an ability to get on base. His StatCast, very red. Average exit velocities in the top 7%. His hard hit rate, 47 twos in the top 16%. Barrel rates in the top 12%. Launch angle sweet spots in the top 15%. His bat speed, 73.4 miles an hour. Pretty good. Top 23%. And all of his expected stats of batting average, slugging, and WOBA are all red and all well far above average. Like a lot of power hitters, he's an extreme fly ball pull hitter. And he's going to play DH. That's pretty much all he does. You won't see him in the field, but he hits thirds versus all right-handed pitching. And remember, he will sit against left-handers. He's a menace to his career versus right-handed pitchers in his career. He slashed, or his OPS in his career is 844. That's damn good. He's almost always at or above league average hitting numbers regardless of whether he has an up or down year. And he's always been a very good clutch hitter, slashing 268, 380, 478 with runners in scoring position. A great add if you're in need of a power hitting outfielder. Heck yeah. A couple pitchers we're going to talk about next here real fast. In 2 starts since joining the Padres, this Padres pitcher has changed his approach. He's trading out a bunch of cutters and sinkers for more changeups and curveballs. Not coincidentally, he has struck out 13 in 13 innings. Matt, can Martin Perez be trusted?
That's kind of a loaded question, don't you think?
Sure is.
You would ask me that. Yes, he's been excellent going from the Pirates to the Padres, along with those 13 strikeouts. He's only walked 2. He's given up 3 home runs, though, which has kind of been his bugaboo in 13 innings pitched. He's got those 2 starts, both of them quality starts. And that's a big departure from what we saw from him before the trade. He was just 2-5 with a 5.20 ERA, a FIP about a quarter run lower, xFIP about a half a run lower, a 1.5 WHIP, 63 strikeouts, 32 walks, 13 home runs. Dude, 83 innings pitched. But just like with Ty France, sometimes a change of venue and a fresh start can work wonders. He's not an overpowering pitcher, doesn't strike out many. His rate's sitting right now at 18%. He's only been over 20% once in his career, but he is a couple points better than his career average so far. K per 9 is a little over 7, and he's only been at 7 or better 4 times, and that includes this season. Swinging strike rate is a little over 8%. Whiff rate is under 20%. Not good. However, he gets a ton of called strikes, so his called plus swinging strike rate is a respectable 27.1%. He does have the ability to fool some batters, according to his 28% chase rate, though. Walks with him, not a concern. His walk rate, a little bit better than league average at 8.1%, though he is over 3 walks per 9, so it's something worth keeping an eye on. He's also been bitten by the long ball quite a bit this year, giving up 1.5 per 9, which that is no good. You want to be under 1. The switch to Petco should help out overall, as it's much more of a pitcher's park than PNC Park, but PNC Park does a better job of suppressing home runs. So it's a little of this, a little of that. He does give up a lot of contact, just a hair under 82% of the time overall and 88% in the zone. Those numbers are definitely higher than we want to see, and the defense behind him in San Diego is roughly a bottom third defense. Quality of contact, not great. Just being honest with you. Exit velocity at 89.1 isn't terrible, but it is higher than average, and his barrel and hard hit rates are both in the bottom 20%. To his credit, he does induce a ton of weak contact, though. His 6.8% rate is about 3 points higher than league average. And he gets a good amount of ground balls to go along with below average fly ball rate, but he gives up quite a few line drives. He also gets pulled quite a bit. So his 14.7% home run to fly ball rate makes sense. And given his lack of strikeouts, I was surprised to see he's rocking a strand rate of almost 75%. He's got to start against his former team tomorrow and then a 2-step next week against the Twinkies and Mets. The Padres have been the hottest team in baseball, and he's looked better since the trade. I'd snag him for these next 3 starts and then kind of reevaluate. He's a little bit more on the volatile side, but if you can kind of catch a ride on the beginning of a hot streak, it's certainly better than catching a ride at the end.
Heck yeah. I've been kind of answering it in the chat here, but would you rather have Perez or Nick Martinez?
I was looking at one.
I was looking at Martinez's schedule, and he's got Kansas City Friday, I think, and then next starts at Toronto, and then either Pittsburgh or Oakland coming up as well. I like that schedule.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Martin Perez, but not by a lot, like 55-45.
Okay. I can dig it.
Camilo Doval walked his way out of the closer role in San Francisco and walked his way out of the major leagues. And Ryan Walker is the next man up. He's been a hot ad off the wire since then, but is he worth it?
I believe so. I believe so. I mean, this guy was 20-some% owned just a few days ago, and I'm sure I forgot to check the percentages, but I'm sure he's over 50 now. So yeah, next in line for the high leverage spots there in San Fran with Delval being optioned. And he's already been really working high leverage situations in the 6th and 7th innings this season, which made, I think he can hold off somebody like Jordan Hicks, or they got the Rogers brothers there as well. And this guy's getting first crack at it. He's been pretty tremendous this year. He's got a 7-3 record, 21 holds, just 1 save, 4 blown saves, while striking out 73 with just 14 walks in 61 1/3 innings, with a 2.20 ERA and a sub-1 WHIP. On the year, he is fantasy relief pitcher number 38. Some good stuff there. Strikeout rate, very good. 30.7 puts him in the 92nd percentile. That's what you want to see from a closer. And walk rate 5.9, definitely what you want to see from a closer as well. His StatCast, sea of red. Okay, first, he doesn't allow jack squat for hard contact or average exit velocity. Hard hit rates are both in the top 10%. His barrel rate of 7%, while not as good as the velocity of the hard hit rate, is still in the 63rd percentile. His swing and miss game is excellent as well. He's got a whiff rate of 30% flat, puts him in the top 17%, and he's got an above average chase rate. With him getting all those whiffs, his contact allowed is very, very good. His zone contact is about 4% better, and his chase contact rate is over 10% better than the MLB average. He's also helped out by an above average ground ball rate. Really like it. He's over 46%. That really aids him in keeping them base pass clear with those, easy outs. In turn, he doesn't allow many fly balls, but we are seeing more line drives allowed from him this season, more than the MLB average. But I think I'll keep it short. He's a must-start closer if he hangs on to that job. It doesn't matter what type of league you're in. He's a good fantasy closer for the time being. Even if it doesn't last that long or he doesn't close every game, his strikeout work should be appealing enough to fantasy owners. I'd add him now and hope he retains the job for the remainder of the season. Anything in the chat?
Nope.
I thought I saw a poll question about cats and dogs. Are you a dog person or a cat person? Ugh. Somebody said snakes. I'm a cat person. Now everybody knows. Matt's a cat man. He's got a couple kitties at home. Real quick, here's the listener league. Blah, blah, blah.
No, blah, blah, blah. Let me just go ahead and fill in the commentary here. One of us on this show lost to the zombie team last week. That zombie team went out in search of brains, played Kyle, and found nothing.
Yeah. I'm like Friday. I'm like, Matt, I'm gonna lose to the ghost team. This sucks. Supersonics clinched a playoff spot. He's already been bragging about it in the chat there with his 800 moves, unorthodox way of doing things. But hey, he's in the playoffs, and I am most definitely fucking not.
Yep. Kelsey says we have the same record, but the important thing is I have scored a significant amount more points.
Sure. Because those really matter. Those really matter.
They do.
That's
how you win.
The funny thing is a league last year, I said the same thing to you, and you said those don't matter.
They don't.
You're either in first or not. So if you're in first,
when you score more than me, points don't matter. When I have more wins than you,
right.
That's what matters.
I see it goes, but thank you guys. We love you too. Appreciate that. We're gonna get out of here. If you haven't, please subscribe. If you like our content, give us a like and subscribe. Share it with your friends, buddies, neighbors, coworkers, strangers. I don't care. Share it. Matt will be back solo on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern for 2-start pitchers and streamers. I'm on vacation and going to my favorite trip of the year, big camping tubing trip. So, and then, we also do fantasy football as well. YouTube channel, Stone Down Sports Fantasy Football. Our next stream is Sunday, August 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern with our huge wide receiver fantasy preview. Check out the channel. We just did our tight end preview a couple days ago on Sunday. It's there for you. All the info is available down in the description. We're going to get the hell out of here. Stay stoned, everyone.
See you, folks.